Federal agents raided several sites in eastern Iowa today as part of a national crackdown on synthetic drugs.
The Drug Enforcement Agency served search and arrest warrants at homes, warehouses, and shops in 29 states across the country. The crackdown is part of Project Synergy. The DEA served nearly 200 search warrants, arresting more than 150 people. Federal, state, and local law enforcement seized ready-to-sell synthetic drugs, raw products, and more than $20 million in cash and assets.
We have team coverage tonight. KCRG TV9's Mark Carlson joins us from Iowa City, where agents carried out bins of synthetic drugs and devices from a few shops. And Dave Fransman is in the studio to talk about how professionals are working to help people who use and abuse these drugs. But let's start with Mark in Iowa City on just how these raids went down today.
Well, it was quite a scene down here, and it played out in wide open public. Like I said earlier, on a Wednesday morning, local and federal agencies came together at the exact same time to hit 3 businesses. Now, this was the scene at Happy Days where officers carried out merchandise in plastic bins. Officials aren't saying exactly what they seized or how much. Their largest effort was at Zombies, a business along Burlington Street. They were on scene there for around 3 hours. They even closed down part of the street to transfer bins of merchandise to a truck. At the Chiba Hut, a next-door business, it was a welcome sight to one employee. That employee says they've had customers from Zombies come into their business and cause trouble in the past. They say those customers have clearly been on drugs. Now, we are still waiting to learn some more from the DEA, including whether or not they made any arrests in all this, and specifically who, how many. We hope to have that in the coming days. For now, we're live in Iowa City. Mark Carlson, KCRG, TV9 News.
Authorities also led one person out in handcuffs from the house at 1303 Main Street in Center Point. Officers removed materials from that house as part of the nationwide crackdown.
The number of calls to poison control centers for exposure to drugs like K2 and Spice, those synthetic drugs, back in 2012 was lower than in 2011, but it's still significantly higher than those reported in 2010. Now, as far as bath salts go, well, the number of calls to poison control centers went up substantially from 304 in 2010 to more than 6,000 in 2011. But as you can see, those calls have since declined to less than half of that. KCRG TV9's Dave Fransman joins us now in the studio.
Dave, what's happening to treat people who are using synthetic drugs and to prevent others from even using them?
Bruce, they basically tell me they treat it like any other drug dependency. Now, one chemical abuse, a counselor subbed it up this way. Abuse really is just abuse, but some who see the problem at street level believe synthetic drug users can have more violent reactions, and the problem is greater than you think.
At the Mission of Hope on First Avenue, some who gather for the noon meal, fellowship, or food pantry are synthetic drug users. Until a month ago, Kristen Wessel was one of them.
The sickness is bad. It's just like heroin. It's bad for you.
Mission Director Martin Dwyer says sickness does describe the reaction of some synthetic drug users to the products sold as bath salts or herbal incense. Several users had such severe reactions while at the mission, workers had to call an ambulance.
The central nervous system wants to shut down, and the person enters into a seizure. And we've had seizures occur here in the building, not every day, but we've had them occur right out near the front door. Just yesterday, we had someone have a seizure just outside the front door.
Dwyer says in his experience, synthetic drug users do appear somewhat different than those who abuse other drugs. He says they're often more nervous and hyperactive and sometimes have the odor of the smoked herbal product. One treatment counselor, though, says there is not a specific separate program for synthetic users. Basically, the theory is addiction is addiction.
And there might be a few unique specific things we want to make sure we address with individuals, but there's going to be more of the similarities. You know, there's going to be that acceptance of severity. Do they understand the full impact that any substance has had on their life, much less specifically a synthetic marijuana substance?
One constant problem with battling synthetic drugs is as soon as one substance is labeled an illegal drug, the manufacturers tweak the formula to produce something else that is not currently banned. But the mission director sees one benefit from that well-publicized raid like we had today. Says those retailers, even the ones that weren't raided, they tend to lie low and the products go off the shelf and you can't get it as easily for some weeks or sometimes a few months.
Thank you much. Some very scary information there, Dave. Thank you.